Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of our Sheffield United RTG career mode. We return today with episode 26 on the back of qualifying for the Europa League for this upcoming season. Season 4 of the save. Really looking forward to this. We've got lots to crack on with it being the first episode of a new season. So let's just dive straight in. And one of the first things I would usually do is send out our scouts, but I was sort of deliberating in the last episode whether I was going to send them out or not. Obviously, Squad Hub, we've got 48 players in the squad and 10 in the youth academy. And I think we've just got a bit of a backlog at the moment. I think maybe having one season off could help. At least for now, I'm not going to send them out. But I am going to promote a couple of the youth players that I want to get out on loan. So Aliou Sonko looks like he could be our future number one here at the club. I'd like to get him out and get him some first team football. Same with Malik Diaby, who came through from Cameroon last year, and Joaquin Pardo from Uruguay. Going to promote those three and try and get them out on loan. All the rest will stay in the academy for now. So going to quickly run through the squad here as Aliou, potential to be special as expected. Really like the look of this guy. I think for now I'm going to send him out on loan, try and get him some first team football and hope that he grows massively and is ready to come back as potentially our number one. So that might mean that Riley Murray stays here as our number two. But yeah, running through the squad here, there are obviously some players who will be heading out, some changes to be made, of course. And once we sim one day in the calendar, we will see a couple of players departing the club as well. So massive squad, as we know, 51 players currently in the squad. So yeah, definitely need to shift some of these guys on. We did have quite a few retire at the end of last season, so that did help bring some of the numbers down, but there's still a lot of work to be done to make this squad a lot smaller. And I think I'm actually just going to sim through the first day just so we see the loan deals go through that we negotiated at the end of last season. So yeah, there we go. Quite a few players departing on loan. They were all agreed at the back end of last season after January. So 49 players now in the squad. We seem to have lost a few. I'm going to go through now, add a few players to the loan list, a few to the transfer list, and then we'll see where we stand. I'm just working through the Squad Hub and I've noticed there's quite a few players with deals up at the end of this current season. I think what I'm going to do is give all of these youth players new deals because they've all been out on loan, they've all started to develop. As for Connor Roberts, Emil Forsberg and Benny Traore, at the moment I'm not going to offer them new deals. They're players that could potentially leave in this summer window if a suitable bid comes in. But as for the rest of these guys, going to give them all new deals. So all of those youth players have signed new deals. So that leaves just the three that I mentioned earlier: Connor Roberts, Benny Traore and Emil Forsberg. I won't show you all of the individual deals for those players, but they've all signed new long-term extensions with the club. Going to go and take a quick look at the players that are transfer or loan listed. And as I say, there are a few in here as well. The likes of Shea Adams, Skov, that may potentially leave but aren't going to specifically be listed. There we go. Here are the players on the transfer list. Well, actually only one, which is Robert Skov. Only signed last year, but I've got a player in mind that I want to bring in to replace Robert with, and he's a bit of a fan favourite. So one and done for Robert. I'm happy that we brought him in on a free and we can shift him on for a bit of cash this summer. Didn't really get on with him when I did use him. And then we've got a lot of youngsters on the transfer list: Sonko, Ian Walker, who's been out on loan for the last couple of years, Alistair Sim, Malik Diaby, Joaquin Pardo, and Benny Traore still on the loan list as well, to see if we do get any bids. So one thing I've actually not done so far is check our budget for this season. Obviously into Europe this year, and our budget is, wow, that European money is coming in clutch. I was not expecting that. I was expecting maybe 60, 65, maybe 70 at a push, but 100 million in the coffers. Wow, the board did not hold back on that. I mean, I'm not complaining. Of course, I'm not complaining. Obviously, that is a good thing. Huge amount of money in the budget as we've had some offers here. I'm going to turn that one down for Che Adams. Don't really see him going to Darmstadt. We've had a transfer offer for Patrick Nicholson as well. Want to keep this guy in the first team this year, so he is not going anywhere. I have, however, agreed a deal with Vincent Kompany for Robert Skov of £6 million, and I've delegated this loan offer from newly promoted Southampton for Aliou Sonko. I would love to get him a Premier League loan. It's only for 1 year, as I think after 1 year he could be ready to come back and play a part. Also had a loan offer here, another one from Norwich for our young Scottish centre-back Ian Walker, so I'll delegate this and hope that we can strike up a deal with Norwich, which wouldn't be the first time in this save. So first couple of deals going through here as Robert Skov heads off to Vincent Kompany's Burnley, staying in England and the Premier League, but departing to join up with Kompany. And Leeds United here putting in a bid for Che Adams, 500 grand over market valuation. And with them being newly promoted this year and Adams staying in England, I'm just going to accept that off the bat from Leeds. Another bid for Che Adams here, this time from Brighton, 7.8 million. So I will accept both of those and let him decide which of the newly promoted sides he wants to join. Bid here for Joaquin Pardo on loan as well. Interesting bid here for Connor Roberts as well from Wolves, who were of course relegated back down to the Championship last year. And I believe that is Sonko heading out on loan to Southampton. Big fan of this lad. And he'll join up with another of our loanees, Jordan Winter, who's also out on loan at the club. Aliou, good luck. And another deal going through here is Che Adams departs the club. He is heading to newly promoted Brighton and Hove Albion. Good signing for them, experienced Premier League striker. And he did the job for us when we picked him up on a free in Season 2. But we've just moved a level beyond where he's currently at. I don't mind that sale. Bid here from Bournemouth for Connor Roberts for 4.3 million, which I'm also going to accept, and he can decide whether he wants to drop down to the Championship or stay in the Premier League. We've got a loan for Alistair Sim and also a big offer from Brentford for Anel, which is definitely going to be rejected. So we've got another deal going through here, and it's Connor Roberts. No, it's not. It's Ian Walker. Ian Walker heading to Norwich, but we did see Connor Roberts heading out as well, and he has chosen AFC Bournemouth, so staying in the Premier League, and he will be linking up with his former teammate here, Jacob Greaves, who also departed for the South Coast in the January transfer window. And I think this is another couple of loan deals here. Malik Diaby heading to the Championship, Bristol City for 2 years. I think that'll be a great loan for him down in the second tier. And Joaquin Pardo also heading out on loan for 2 years. I'm not actually sure where that team is, Talleres, but those two heading out alongside Ian Walker for a 2-year loan spell. And another loan deal going through, this time Alistair Sim spent 2 years at Oviedo, now heading to Midtjylland for a further 2 years of development. A couple of interesting bids here. Relegated Nottingham Forest coming in for Harry Maguire. That one I'm going to reject, as I'd like to have the European experience of Slabhead this season. But an interesting bid from Fulham for David Brooks, who wasn't someone I was looking at selling this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if David wants to get away for a little bit more first team football. So I'm going to negotiate with Fulham and see if we can strike a deal. £7.5 million deal agreed with Marco Silva for David Brooks. And as I say, if he wants to depart, then I'm not going to stand in his way. Signed him as cover this time last year, but didn't really play a huge amount. And our squad depth is getting a lot stronger. So if David wants to depart, that's fine. But as for Maguire, even at 33 years of age, I want to keep him here for this season. And I'm going to delve into the market here for my first signing. Now, he's not the greatest anymore, but he did come through the Sheffield United Academy. And with Patrick Nicholson coming back to the club this year, I want this man, Kyle Walker, to be a mentor for the young man. So I don't think that Walker is going to cost us too much money here. 3 million and 3/4 should be enough. Yep, 3 3/4 million for Kyle Walker. So as I've said, Kyle is in the final year of his contract at Barcelona, and one final year at the club where he came through the academy. Well, I mean, it just seems a bit silly not to. Kyle Walker, 30 grand a week deal, and he is happy with that, returning to the club where he made his professional debut. Welcome back to Bramall Lane, Kyle Walker. It's a bit of a funny one. We've got all that money sat in the transfer budget, and we've signed a 36-year-old for under £4 million. But I think Kyle Walker could still be a great squad player to have. He's got the experience. Of course, he's done pretty much everything there is to do in football. Arguably, the best English right back, or the best right back to ever play in the Premier League. He's definitely a good argument for it, probably alongside, of course, Gary Neville. But he has lost his pace a bit in the physicals, but still very good technically. And I think that Kyle could potentially do a job as centre-back for us as well. Another sale going through here, and it looks as if David Brooks is departing the club for the second time. I don't blame him. I only really brought him back as cover last year, and he didn't play a huge amount. Marco Silva promising him some more first team football, and for 7.5 million we made a decent profit on him just 12 months after signing him. So David, thank you, you'll always be a hero, and best of luck in the capital. Funny, we've got all this money sat in the transfer budget and we've not really done anything with it just yet. Just looking at the actual squad that we've got here, and I have to say I do think we've got some real quality in depth, but the actual numbers aren't that vast, and there's a couple of positions where I would like to bolster the squad. I think they are right through the spine of the team in the CDM and central attacking midfield positions. We don't really have a great cover for Sousa. Obviously, we've got Darko and Paredes can play there, but I'd like to bring in someone who can play on those Thursday nights in the Europa League. And the same with Sucic. Forsberg was brilliant last year, but 34 years of age now, decreased another rating down to 76. I'd like to bring someone in who again can step in on a Thursday night when I need to rest Luca. So I've got a couple of names on the shortlist in the CDM position. Really not too sure who to go for here. I've got Dion Lopi, who's more of a sort of budget buy, but we've got the money in the bank, so I think we should spend it. Morton's only just joined West Ham, I think, in January of last year, so I'm not really too sure who to go for. Douglas Luiz is a great option, but I'm not sure he's exactly what I'm looking for. Joao Gomez, obviously relegated with Wolves last year. Really good technical player, and he's very good defensively, but I want someone who's a little bit more of a unit. So the guys that I'm looking at, I think it's between Rafael Onyedika, who's Nigerian CDM, medium high work rate, 6 foot, high stamina, high strength, good defending, or Ibrahim Sangare, relegated with Nottingham Forest last year, 6'3", medium high work rates. Love the 90 stamina, 91 strength, really good mentals as well, and technically 86 stand tackle, 84 defensive awareness. He's good on the ball. I think Ibrahim can come in and potentially even compete for that starting spot from Vinicius Sousa, regardless of how good he's been. He's got the bruiser play style as well. Slightly older at 28, but in the prime of his career. And I don't think Nottingham Forest should hold us to ransom with them being relegated last year. And my opening bid for Sangare is going to be £30 million, which is around about the valuation, but they want Vinicius Sousa, which is not going to happen. I'll go in with a valuation bid of 31.5. And I thought Steve Cooper wasn't going to hold me to ransom, but it appears that he might. I mean, we've got the money in the budget. 32.5 million, Steve? Okay, how about 34 million, Steve? You've been relegated to the Championship. He doesn't want to be playing down there. Thought we might get him for a little bit cheaper, but he is my main target. Only a year left on his deal as well. Let's get Ibrahim in. currently on quite a high wage of 63,000 at Nottingham Forest, so I think we will have to at least match that. I'm going to go in at 70,000, which would make him our highest earner by some way. 300 grand signing on bonus, and Ibrahim Sangare becomes our first major signing of the summer from relegated Nottingham Forest. I'm absolutely buzzing with that. I cannot wait to use this guy. He looks like an absolute unit. Oh wow, so after that big signing from Nottingham Forest, an interesting one here as the Premier League champions coming in for our fullback, Ryan Giles. I don't really want to sell, but I have always said that I won't stand in my players' ways. It's like if Man City come calling in real life. You can't stand in a player's way if the Premier League champions come calling. I'm going to ask for a decent amount of money because I'm not just going to roll over and let him leave, but I do think he's worth more than that valuation. And Pochettino says, yes, we'll pay 25 million for Ryan. 26 years of age, only 2 years left on his deal, and Ryan could be heading to the capital. Also just accepted this bid from Benfica for Emil Forsberg. As I mentioned earlier, 34 years of age now, and I would like to bring someone in who's got a little bit more quality to compete with Luka Sucic. We've also had a bid here, a natural bid, for Benny Traore from, I think that's the Belgian side, Sporting at Charleroi. But I think for now I'm going to reject that. If we got a big bid from a top European side, then I might be happy to negotiate. But I'd quite like to keep Benny here in the Europa League this season. Oh, and there is the big one. It didn't take him long to consider it, and I don't blame him. Ryan Giles heading off to Chelsea, the chance to play Champions League football for the Premier League champions last season. £25 million, it's a good bit of profit from what we signed him for just 2 seasons ago, I believe. Yeah, it was season 2 that we brought Ryan in, and it is a decent fee for him. I can't blame Ryan whatsoever, but it does mean we're now in the market for a new left back. Well, this might come as a little bit of a surprise signing, as striker isn't really the area that we are desperate in, but I really wanted to sign this man when Brighton were relegated, but we didn't really have the funds, and he ended up moving it to Feyenoord. But I'm going to say to João Pedro, you're way too good to be playing out in the Eredivisie. You need to be playing in Europe, lad. Come and join us here at the Blades. We're playing in the Europa League this year, and we'll get you back in the Premier League as well. We've still got loads of money in the bank, and I mean, I could potentially offer Benny Traore in a swap deal because he is a year older but 3 ratings higher. But as I've said, I kind of want to keep Benny Traore here. I think what I'm going to do in the first instance is offer Benny Traore in a deal, see if they're at least interested, which they are, but they want a hell of a lot more money. So I'm going to remove the sell-on clause. And knowing that they're interested in Traore is interesting. It does mean that we have a little bit of leeway. 15 million? No, they want a lot more. Going to go 20 million plus Benny Traore. And they're going to come back to us. Okay, Feyenoord. I'm not against letting Benny go. I was quite interested in keeping him this year and giving him a go in the squad. But if I can get João Pedro in, he is my main target. Well, don't you just love this game? I went back to Feyenoord with 20 million plus Benny Traore again. And this time they accepted João Pedro on a really low wage over in the Netherlands. So we're going to bring him back, give him a bumper pay rise, as he's way too good to be playing out in the Eredivisie. 4-year deal on 45 grand a week for João Pedro, and I'm a big fan of this guy in real life, having a really good season for Brighton, and especially in the Europa League, he's been really performing for the Seagulls. So yeah, maybe spent a little bit more than I wanted to, but with Benny Traore going the other way, it feels like we've really just paid 20 million for João Pedro. So pretty happy with that deal. He can also play in behind the striker. He's not my main signing as a number 10, but he does give us an option to play in there, and again gives us great backup to Cameron Archer. Oh well, I don't believe this. Firstly, the Forsberg deal to Benfica's broken down. We've had another bid from Galatasaray and from Mönchengladbach, both of which have been accepted. But Chelsea are just raiding us today, man. Lloyd Kelly, who's been an important member of this team since we signed him, remember, on a free in Season 2. But again, similar situation to that with Ryan Giles. I'm not going to stand in his way to go and play Champions League football and to play for the winners of the competition last year. Mauricio Pochettino will have to spend more than the 17 million than he is offering though, and we are getting a little bit closer to the sort of money that I'm after. 23 million for Lloyd Kelly, and Pochettino, for the second time in a matter of weeks, walks into my office and looks as if he's going to be walking away with one of my stars. Kelly, like Giles, with just 2 years left on his deal, and again, I can't blame him if he wants to go and play for the champions. And yet, as with Giles, the deal goes through pretty quickly. It didn't take him long to sign that contract. And again, it is a good sale, 23 million after we picked him up on a free just 2 years ago. Well over the market valuation, and that does put a lot of money back into the budget. We've still got over 105 million to spend, which is what we started with, and we've already brought in Sangare, João Pedro and Carl Walker returning to the club. This has been a crazy transfer window. Well, finally, it looks as if we have found a destination for Emil Forsberg. 2 moves broke down to Benfica and then Galatasaray, but back to Germany for Emil Forsberg. Spent most of his career at RB Leipzig and now heading to Borussia Mönchengladbach. As I say, I am looking to bring in somebody who can provide competition and backup to Luka Sucic, as we've done with Sangare. And I think I'm going to go and make that signing now, as the squad is really starting to thin out. So with that huge transfer budget still unspent, I am looking for a backup attacking midfielder. A couple of names on the shortlist. A little bit more experience in Giovanni Lo Celso, who in recent weeks has been reviving his career at Tottenham. James McAtee, who of course we had on loan in Season 1, gone back to Man City and got some good game time. But the man that I'm really interested in, just promoted back to the Premier League with Southampton, but I'm telling him to jump ship, come and play Europa League football with us. It's Carlos Alcaraz. This guy looks absolutely incredible. Brilliant physicals and technically really good as well. Low centre of gravity, quick, just looks a really solid player. With Southampton just coming back to the Premier League, I'm sure that they're not going to want to part ways with Carlos, but we've got the money in the bank to bring him in. And they're telling me they're after Hayden Hackney, and this guy is always in my office with his bloody shirt off. He needs to get out of here, man. 30 million for Alcaraz. They're after 37. Wow. I did expect them to play hardball, but 32.5, there we go, reasonable offer. And 32.5 million will bring Carlos Alcaraz, the Argentinian, to Bramall Lane. There's no way he's taking a pay cut. He's got to be on at least 50 grand. We'll down the signing on bonus, but that still leaves us with around 75 million in the budget. So Carlos Alcaraz is my backup to Luka Sucic. Buzzing to have this guy in. So still over 75 million in the budget, and with those 2 sales to Chelsea, we are going to have to look to reinvest that money in some new defenders. I think before we get into the first game of the season, which funnily enough is against Mauricio Pochettino's side, I would like to bring in a new centre-back. I've got quite a few names on the shortlist. Doucouré, slightly younger option from Milan, Mavropanos, Joe Gomez and Tosin, all in their late 20s. But I think the one I'm really after is Malik from Brentford. He's been there for a few years, moved on from AC Milan, and I really like the physicals. He's got pace about him, he's strong, he's good in the air. The stamina's a little bit low, which is a bit of an issue, but very good defending stats as well. Interceptions, aggression, reactions, and slide tackle, and the defensive awareness all really high. 25-year-old German, currently in his mid-20s, and he shouldn't cost us much more than that market valuation. I'm going to go in at first with a valuation bid of 27.5. They're after Gabriel, which is just not going to happen. We'll go in at £28 million, and Thomas Frank says, yep, that is absolutely fine. Didn't even try and hold us to ransom. I do wonder if he's in the final year of his contract. Not quite 2 years left on his deal. At the same time, a little bit shocked that they let him leave on what seems like quite a cheap fee. But I suppose they in the same situation as we were when Chelsea came calling. When a club offering European football do come in, there isn't really much that can be done to persuade the player to stay. I'm going to pretty much match what he's on at Brentford. And Malik joins on a 4-year, 50 grand a week deal. And as I've said, I absolutely love this guy's stats. For just 28 million, I think that could be an absolute bargain for us. Alright then guys, that is where we will end it for today's episode. The season opener with some big new signings through the door. Sangare, Alcaraz, João Pedro, and just now Malik joining as our new centre-back as well. The squad is starting to take shape, and we've still got 45 million left in the budget. So if you do have any transfer recommendations, let me know down below as we close in on becoming a 5-star team. I'll catch you in the next episode very soon, guys, and peace.